This is part 2 of What If Deku was the son of Hades. So we left off on the attack at the sports festival. So now, as they were getting awarded, villains in the crowd started to attack civilians, as Nomos then landed in the middle of the arena as people started screaming. Deku, seeing the Nomos jumping up to punch him, created a wall of titanium to block the attack. As All Might quickly jumped over the titanium and kicked himself downwards to punch at the Nomo's skull, as he then grabbed the head of the other Nomo, spun around, and then threw it into the sky, as he checked with the students to make sure that they were all okay, as the Nomu fell on the ground and splattered, as Endeavor and the crowd started to burn and kill all the lesser Nomus. The other heroes focused on evacuating the students' civilians, as Deku, being a student, wasn't allowed to participate in the fighting because he didn't have a hero license. So as he and the other students were being escorted on a bus, a Nomu clone was teleported inside by Kurogiri, as Deku shot off a dark flame, incinerating the Nomu, as everyone in the bus was surprised when the Nomu clone disintegrated into a pile of mud. As All Might, alone in the arena with Endeavor, was fighting Nomus and twice made Nomu clones. All Might and Endeavor were having a hard time fighting the Nomus because the Nomus had blast absorption and regeneration quirks. They also had fire resistance, so Endeavor had to sustain fire at a high temperature consistently, causing him to be visibly and physically affected. But regardless of their tolerance to flame, Endeavor was more easily able to defeat and kill the Nomus more effectively than All Might. And as the fight continued, more heroes joined to take down the Nomus, as All Might and Endeavor, though tired and beaten at this point, had taken care of the Nomus. The All Might taking somewhat significant damage, reducing his time limit from 50 minutes to 35, and Endeavor came out of the battle taking some physical damage, but nothing too severe or long lasting. After the battle, All Might relayed information back to Deku about his new time limit, and how he planned to operate as a hero moving forward, primarily making sure that he prioritized fast, powerful movements to quickly take down villains. As the media, not knowing his current predicament, simply reported on the fact that All Might was becoming more violent and precise with his movements, which caused the public to become happier and more proud of All Might, which in turn lowered the rate of people pursuing lives of crime. As Deku was in the villain hideout, Shigaraki said, "Damn it! Now all we've done is made him more popular and stronger." As All For One said, "The master Sun Tzu says, appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. This is simply a facade, like a little chihuahua barking to try to overshadow its own fear by putting up a large facade with noise, which may give others the impression of strength, when in reality, it's just all bark. It's simply a scared little dog trying to hide the fact that it's standing on its last leg." As Shigaraki said, "Well, let's see how long the dog can keep barking." As Deku said, "I need to return to school. They're trying to place a mandatory residence at the school because of the recent attacks." As All For One said, "Alright, you may go." As Deku wrapped himself in shadows and vanished to the store, as he got some random stuff, and sneaked into the school campus. So it looked like he went out to buy stuff and came back late. This way, they would have an idea of where he was and what he was doing. As they concluded that he was just doing extra shopping, they ignored him coming back at a late hour, and chose not to address it in the future. As All For One said, "Shigaraki, you know we have to kill him, right?" As Shigaraki said, "But is it really necessary?" Yes, my son. It is the only way to accomplish our goals. We need to take one for all." "But can't he simply give it to me?" No, we can't. One for all is a quirk that needs to be passed down from person to person. Currently, if you were to get the quirk, your body would be torn apart. And if you were to get the quirk from Deku, the results would be even worse. Besides, one of the main characteristics of the quirk is having a good heart. Good heart? He's been killing heroes and villains since he was a child. That may be true, but he wouldn't harm civilians to push forward his goal. Kindness, or rather weakness, cannot be brought into the society of power that we are trying to create." As Shigaraki said, I don't know if I can kill him. He's like a brother to me." As All For One said, "Brother. Similarly, like you, I had a brother. I granted him power, but due to his kindness, his kind nature, he turned on me. For the last few decades, I've been constantly at war with holders of One For All. Do not repeat my mistake. Close your heart. For this is not something we want to happen, but for something that must happen. Next scene. As the teachers were explaining the meaning and utility behind their superhero names, and what it would stand for, as they were then asked to formally choose their own names, as Deku wrote down Draven, meaning Child of Shadows, as they were then instructed to choose hero agencies. As Deku, being strong, simply went to Gran Torino as a formality in the hope of meeting another person that knew the truth of One For All, not particularly out of necessity. As Deku was already adept with full cowling, he then got instructed to try to adapt his movements and make them faster by adding bursts of black fire to his jumps and movements, while also making use of shaping the ground to move, to increase his foot movement and propel his speed, making him a great deal faster, both in air and on land. After observing Deku's newfound improved movements, he then told Deku that they were going to go to another city to fight against villains. As we cut to the villain hideout, as Shigaraki is telling Stain, "You need to kill those heroes, and in addition to that, you must be wary of Draven," as he held a picture of Deku, "and if you can, I'd like you to kill him. I don't have the will to, but I would appreciate it if you could do it for me." Now, as Deku and Gran Torino were on a train, a Nomu burst through with a hero. As Deku immediately shot a dark flame at the Nomu, burning it to a crisp, as he then dissipated the flames. Everyone on the train was clapping, as Gran Torino said, "We need to check that out," as Gran Torino and Deku proceeded to explore different parts of the city, fighting and killing Nomus. Deku, not particularly being close with Ida, didn't look for him or go out of his way to try to find him, as he simply went out of his way to help civilians and fight the stronger Nomus made by Shigaraki. After the battle, Stain had killed Ida, and realizing that he was betrayed by Shigaraki, decided to help people fight off the Nomus. As the heroes, realizing that he was a hero killer, they then went after him, but eventually he escaped. The next at UA, they held a funeral service. As Deku was there bored, smoking a cigarette, he noticed a red glint, as he then excused himself and went in pursuit of what he thought was another person. As he was about to go back, he sensed a soul as he said, I know that smell. As soon as I come into contact with it, oh, the smell of joyous murder." As he said, "Come out. I know you're there, murderer." As Stain walked out from the shadows, as he then said, "What do you want?" "I wish to tell you something." As Deku said, "Tell me what exactly?" As Stain told Deku about the fact that Shigaraki wanted to kill him, as he said, he didn't go much into details. He was very somber and emotional when he said it, but he said that if I could kill you, I should, because he didn't have the will to do it. As Deku then lit a cigarette and said, maybe he knows I was going to betray him. As Stain said, "No." Kurogiri muttered something to comfort him about how it was his master's wish, as he then thought, all for one. Well, at the end of the day, he had to die anyhow. As Stain said, "I wish to bring about a new society, a society of heroes, because I adore All Might, and I want real heroes to do what's necessary to protect people, not fake pretenders." As Deku thought, oh, he's an All Might fanatic, huh? Well, I could use him. As he said, "I'm actually a disciple of All Might, and I too wish to create a better society. Will you join me in making the world better?" As Stain said, "Yes, I shall." From that point on, Stain and Deku would go out together, killing both heroes and villains. While doing this, Deku would give Stain information regarding the League of Villains and where to attack the League of Villains to mess with their distribution of weapons, products, and money. None of the heroes versus students, as it was Aizawa versus Deku no Chako. As Deku, being able to use 70% of One For All, was already physically capable, so he decided to face off against Aizawa without using any of his quirks other than his healing factor. As Deku and Aizawa were fighting, exchanging punches and kicks, Deku started to get the upper hand and Aizawa tried to bind him, to which Deku then grabbed it mid-air and started to pull Aizawa towards him. As Ochako started sprinting towards Aizawa to take him down, as Aizawa let go of the binds, causing Deku to fall back, as he then kicked Ochako and put her into submission and put her in cuffs. As he then subdued her, giving Deku a moment to use his power, as Deku then blitzed to Aizawa and kicked him into a wall, as he then grabbed Ochako and jumped in the air and blasted off to the exit. With air kicks and flame bursts, Deku and Ochako were declared winners. Now to the training camp, as Deku, before going, told the League of Villains the locations of the training camp. As Deku and the camp arrived at the forest, as the Wild Cats introduced themselves and told them to go through the forest. As Deku flew through the forest with his flames, as he used metal to stab and destroy the monsters. As the students followed after him, Deku got to the camp much faster than students did, but since they were following after him, they didn't take nearly as long because they didn't have to deal with as many monsters. As Deku mainly practiced honing his shadow abilities, using his shadows to teleport, summon them, and control the other shadows of other people, Deku, like Hades, was able to control and summon shadows and create warriors. But seeing as how Deku spent time developing, mainly wanting to perfect his weaker abilities, as Deku was running up the mountains, perfecting his cardio, he saw Koda being attacked by Muscular, as Muscular, with his eye goggle on, saw Deku and said, "Ah, just the man I was looking for." As Deku stopped running and said, "What do you want?" As Muscular said, "The villains are currently fighting the students, but regardless, I don't think you're qualified." Qualified? As Muscular knocked out Koda with a head bump and said, "Yes, qualified to be in the League of Villains." As Deku thought, he's just trying to disguise the fact that the League wants me dead. As Deku said, "I know Shigaraki wants to kill me." As Muscular, surprised, said, You do? "Yes." How do you know, and why are you telling me?" As Deku's eyes turned red, as he was surrounded by a demonic aura, as he then made soul chains, and like a good side, he then started to suck the soul out of Muscular, no homo, as he put his hand on Muscular, and started to manipulate the bones in Muscular's body, making them protrude out of his body, and due to the added bone mass and density made by his quirk, he felt excruciating pain. You really thought someone as pathetic as you could actually defeat me? Don't make me laugh. Please, I'll do anything, just stop. I can't take it anymore. Please, think of you. If that's what you want, who am I to deny you? As Deku then grabbed the remains of his soul out of his body, as he laughed and threw it in his mouth and swallowed it. As Deku slowly made his way down the mountain, as he remembered that they were trying to take Bakugo, as he grabbed Koda and the body of Muscular and blitzed to the camp, as he put them in a safe place, as he then coated himself in shadows to remain unseen, as he then went to the villains, kidnapping Bakugo and shot off a wave of titanium bolts, as they quickly jumped into the portal. Now, as Bakugo and Shigaraki were talking, Shigaraki was saying, "You want to surpass him, right? So what? Like I need or even take help from you pathetic b****s." As we cut to UA, as Deku was explaining to All Might the fact that he had actually been a spy and had been waiting for the moment to kill All For One, as he told him Shigaraki had found that he had betrayed them since the USJ, which is why Shigaraki called out his name when he was facing off against the Nomus. Hearing this, All Might put the pieces together, as he was always leaving school at random times, and every time the villains attacked the school and he tried to defend them, he felt responsible. Taking all this in, All Might and the other heroes decided to forget his transgression to go after Bakugo, as Deku then told them the location of the villain hideout. As Deku then went to the hideout and rescued Bakugo with Kirishima, as he then used shadows and teleported them home. As All For One and All Might were fighting, All Might did the United States of Smash, as he held up his hand, showing that he won, as Deku, invisible, covered with shadows, then created a shadow barrier, obscuring him, All Might, and All For One from view, covering the whole city block. As Deku appeared, as All Might said, "Ah, she." As Deku said, "My name is not she. My true name is Izuku Midoriya." As All For One choked out and started to laugh. "Oh, All Might, you think you've won, huh? But I've turned your precious disciple against you." As All Might revealed to All For One that Deku told him of his identity, as All For One said, "That's not true. I didn't kill his parents. You did." As All Might said, "No, he joined your organization to kill you because you did." As Deku with the devilish grin said, "You both did." As he said, "What?" in unison. As he said, "For the last 5 years, I have been carefully planning on killing both of you. For you both killed my mother and brother and sister. You took their lives from me." As All Might and All For One were confused, he explained what happened on that fateful day, as All Might had blocked it from memory, and All For One simply forgot. As they both grimaced, as Deku said, "Oh, I am going to enjoy this," as Deku then started to force their bones out of their body, as they grimaced in pain. As he then grabbed their souls and put them back in their body, as he healed their body and continued to torture them, as he then put his hands on both of their heads, as All Might said, "Please, you're better than this." As he said, No, I'm not," as he started to suck the souls out of their body, as All Might in his weaker form started to grow smaller, as the skin was starting to leave his body, as he looked more malnourished, as there was nothing but bone left on their bodies, as Shigaraki gained consciousness and said, "What did you do?" "I took revenge." As he grew taller, his eyes turned red, as his aura radiated demonic energy, as his body became lit with demonic flame, as he said, "I am Izuku Midoriya, son of Hades, and I will enact judgment upon your poor, wretched souls." As Shigaraki started to step back in fear, Deku blitzed him and used 100% of One For All, and added his own demonic strength and punched him through 3 buildings, as Shigaraki crashed into a wall, as Deku then created a large shadow as a giant, flaming soul shadow dragon appeared as it went up to the sky, as it went out of the shadow barrier, as everyone with cameras, wondering what was happening, saw it as it went down at incredibly high speeds with its mouth open to kill Shigaraki and destroy the surrounding areas and consume his soul, as Kaminari, struggling with the last bit of strength he had left, teleported Shigaraki away, as the whole city got nuked, as every building and person got burned, as all of their souls had also been consumed. As Deku then realized he hadn't taken Shigaraki's soul, he yelled in outrage, as he teleported away and took down the shadow barrier. As the news and the public couldn't find any remains of Deku, All For One, or anyone in the city, they had concluded that they were all dead. As Shigaraki then appeared in front of the evil Dr. Kyudai Garaka, or better known by his villain name, Daruma Ujiko, as Shigaraki, with the blood flowing out of his eyes, with every bone in his body broken, squirming on the ground, said, "Stronger. Make me strong enough to kill him." To kill who? To kill a god. As Deku then teleported to his bed and collapsed, due to the great measure of power he exerted to kill them. As he awoke 3 months later, as everyone filled him in on the current situation, as they cried about the death of All Might. Later that day, the teachers he had told about his identity didn't arrest him for being an ex-spy, but they arrested the fake adoptive parents the villains put in to live with him. As Deku then told them all of the locations of villain hideouts that he knew of to try to find Shigaraki. But as they raided the hideouts, they found a considerable measure of villains, but they weren't able to locate Shigaraki. As Deku then continued with the school life in hopes of finding Shigaraki and killing him to revive his family. Seeing as how Deku was already strong, he didn't need any help developing his ultimate move, not the provisional license exam. As they arrived at the exam site and got off the bus, they were greeted by Inasa, and Inasa said, "Oh, you're Deku. You're really strong. I saw you during the sports festival, and I'm excited to see how strong you are." As Deku said, "Likewise." As they walked their separate ways, as the battle started, Deku split the ground, making it super unstable for everyone, as it was like an earthquake, as he pushed everyone to the wall and made the center lava, as he shot metal beams out and stabbed the balls, as he then placed them on multiple people. And after he got bored, he fixed the ground and returned people back to their natural places, and made a cocoon of stone and just stayed in there while people were battling. As Bako, seeing this, thought, "What the f*** is this shit?" As the announcer said, "Izuku Midoriya has passed." As they thought, "He's so powerful it's ridiculous." Now to the other part of the exam, as Deku simply used one for all to blitz through the damaged buildings, carrying multiple people, as he put them down in a safe place, as some of them started asking for reasonable things, as he simply ignored them and went to save more people, as villains started to appear. And that's it for this What If. Remember to like and subscribe. If you want to donate, help me get an editor, Cashapp's in the description. Also leave a comment as well, I'd like to know your thoughts. And remember, sub, don't be a bitch. Bye.